Welcome to Film Zen. And it's going to be really interesting tonight because we're probably going to talk more about book versus film. um, my first experience of book versus film would be Lord of the Rings. And I was really surprised. I mean, we all read it. I mean, I read it in middle school a long time ago, eons ago. But I was amazed when the movie came out, how forgiving I was, but how a lot of people who read the book were not, and they were completely nitpicky to the point where it almost turned me off. And just like, how can you nitpick Lord of the Rings? Which one do you want? Do you want the book experience to go, wow, that was an amazing book, or do you want to go in the theater and go, I'm like, whoa, that was a great movie? Because one or the other, you're going to be picky on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I actually did the audiobook for Ready Player One before watching the movie. And that was a great experience. I do a lot of audiobooks because I do a lot of driving. So
it's the thing. I mean,
yeah,
it's we really can't say it's the thing now because we used to call them books on cassette in the 90s.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
Hey man, if there's a resurgence of, hey, you know what? If you don't have time to read a book, listen to it. Go for it. So yes, Ready Player One. You know, as a movie, I gotta give it like the same marks I gave Black Panther. It was just a solid, good movie. I mean, I had a lot of fun. It was just a lot of fun. Sure, there was a couple things here and there. If I want to take a little magnifying glass too, but you know what? I'm not going to because I enjoyed it. I'd give it a like an A- B+ range. Like somewhere around there. But I wouldn't go super high marks on it. But I certainly wouldn't go low. I wouldn't. I'd be very interested why someone would regard this as being like a crap movie or something. Like let me hear why. I mean, I'd be interested. But I wouldn't be putting up my dukes either. It's just, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Solid movies, I really don't put up my dukes. Ones that I'm like, oh, like Blade Runner.
Yeah.
Let's go. Why you don't like it? Why?
Yeah. Yeah. It was really entertaining. I actually went in thinking that I was going to ultimately be disappointed. I mean, after the book experience, I knew that it was not possible for them to do on film what they did in the book. Just absolutely not possible. But that aside, I was afraid that I was going to be disappointed, and the things that I was afraid that I was going to be disappointed in, I was, honestly, because I was expecting and I was hoping for it to be as much of a just swimming in nostalgia. There would be so much nostalgia, and there were going to be so many references and Easter eggs and whatnot that it was just going to be almost a sensory overload because that's kind of how it is, how it was in the book, which was great, and I didn't really get that. I felt that there were a lot of parts that they could have just as easily added something in that just as easily tells the story, and yet they didn't. It just kind of goes a little bit more just generic, sort of turnkey, if you will.
It's the one thing that bothers me about screenplay writers, Hollywood screenplay writers, is that they feel like they have to put their spin on it. Yeah. It's just like, no, you don't. You know what I mean? Like sometimes, you know what, just leave it alone.
Yeah.
And there are some screenplay writers who do listen to that, like, you know what, I want as much essence of the book as possible, so I'm going to do as much as I can to stay true to it. Mm-hmm. But there are few and far in between.
Right. I found a lot of the part, to digress just briefly, I felt that a lot of the earlier Harry Potter books were very good book to screen adaptation. I think the first one was one of the most sincere book to movie adaptations that I'd ever seen. Anyway, that aside, yeah, that was the one thing. Now, I was entertained. I was thoroughly entertained. Certainly in the very beginning. Explanation of the Oasis goes right into a very, very exciting race that is just chock full of all sorts of, just all over the place 80s memorabilia, if
Better,
you
better
will.
than pod racing?
Well,
A lot of internet trolls are saying that. Dude. It's hilarious, dude.
you know what? Honestly, if it was longer than if it was as long as the pod race,
Yeah.
that would have been awesome. But no, you know, I very simply in the movie was actually much cooler in the book,
Okay.
slightly more elaborate, and you're constantly just saying, "Aha, that's from that's from Blade Runner, or that's from Lady Hawk, or whatever." Like all these things that could have been done that I think they just they didn't do. Plus, I read somewhere that Spielberg didn't want to have any of his own references made in this movie. The DeLorean he had to, obviously, because it's a huge part. But yeah, I read that he didn't want to add anything from his movies, his contribution.
To be honest with you, when I was watching this movie, I was kind of imagining how book readers would have enjoyed it their first time around, either reading it or listening to it as I'm watching it. So it was kind of like I was doing like a dual thing in my head when I was watching it, and I just thought that the casting was great. I mean, every character, you know how Steven Spielberg does it. I mean, he's always been good at casting. He's always been good at that. But just the way how where he picked the lead, I thought was really good. He just had that certain look, and he was doing some little, especially with his eyes. There was a lot of stuff he was doing with his eyes that I really enjoyed, watching him portray. I like the girl. The girl was awesome in it too. I mean, the way how they made her strong and vulnerable at the same time, and I think the actress really played it off on that. Again, I'm not really one on on CGI. I guess you can say. I mean, whether this was a CGI fest. Yes, but you know what? It fit because you're in a video game world. I mean, that's what you're in. So, yeah, you really were in this kind of like speed ramping. So I hate speed ramping, but it worked in 300. So same thing with CGI. I don't like CGI stuff, like over CGI stuff, but it worked in this movie because you're in a video game. So cool, or virtual reality, really, the Oasis. Right. So, but overall, a lot of fun. Sure, the plot line was a little thin. It might have been even a little predictable here and there. But you know what? If you see it once, you're going to be so... most of us will be so amazed that we'll see it again. And when you do see it again, don't you know how it's going to end?
It was an entertaining movie. Could have been... I think it could have sped up in a few parts. As it did in the book.
Yeah.
I think it could have sped up in a few parts.
Yeah.
But, it was entertaining. And I think that a lot of the nostalgia that was there was a little bit too brief. It came and it went just like that. Usually in fight scenes. Something's like, that's awesome, now it's gone.
Okay.
Give us a little bit more. Just a little bit more.
Okay.
But some of it was just downright damn funny.
Yeah.
And the whole movie was certainly entertaining.
Well, I definitely want to own this movie. I think it's going to be a fun ride no matter what. I mean, I liked Spielberg always has a sentimentality and optimism. Even if he is making a dystopic world, there's still a sense of optimism with him. I thought Minority Report was definitely more cynical, than this movie. But he said he actually stole from himself. He used a lot of Minority Report into this movie, which that's fine. In terms of futuristic dystopia, okay, Spielberg, but I didn't really see anything else. In fact, I thought that it would have the same kind of dark tone as Minority Report did. It really was kind of a cynical movie for a Spielberg movie. It's one of my favorite movies of his. But yeah, I was on the cast with Gary and Dennis doing their Nerdrotic channel and
guest starring Melody.
Yeah, guest starring Melody. And no, it was just really interesting to see how the three of us really liked it, and Dennis read the book, but there's just times where I think all three of us and four of us agree that you know what, folks, the golden rule: the book is always going to be better. It's always going to be better. So again, I think that we're trying to say tonight is, which experience do you want? Do you want the movie experience when you walk in, or do you want the book experience? So we're just going to leave that to you. But Ready Player One, go see it.
Yeah.
A lot of fun.
Yeah.
Go see it. You're not going to be disappointed.
Not a bit.
And if you are, email us at filmsandgo@gmail.com. All right. We're always interested to hear what you got to say. And cheers. Ready Player One? I'll own it.